Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Labor Day weekend to you. Excited for college football today. It's going to be a 3-day weekend, so I'm just looking forward to watching some games today. Really relaxing and just enjoying the 3-day weekend. I know we got something what we're watching in the tropics. Obviously, we got a system in the an area of interest in the BOC and another area in the Eastern Atlantic. But the main focus has been on the tropical feature or wave um, in the Central Atlantic. Currently at a 0.50 right now, 50% chance of development over the next 7 days. Just wanted to show you a satellite of the current imagery on the feature. Right now, GOES is down, so we can't really get a good, clear image of how the system's evolving, and so we'll have to watch this throughout the day, how the convection, if convection wanes, if it deepens, how it continues to progress. But I just wanted to kind of break down the models real quick and also go over what I think maybe why the forecast is so tricky, and there's a lot of things we're still watching, so nothing's really set in stone. Don't get lost in the globals. We still got 10 days. It's crazy how slow this thing's developed, but with an ITS and with the way this process works, it can tend to slow down. It's very hard to predict. There's no spin really moving. It's just a piece of vorticity stuck in the ITS. And eventually that gets traversed towards the west, where a front will come down and eventually yank it out, depending on the steering and everything. So sometimes we see systems get into the western, pretty much into the Western Caribbean, and then you'll see it slow, not slowly, but it like slowly move, but quickly organize. And as that's doing it, it's just meandering north, and eventually a trough comes in and grabs it and yanks it out. I mean, that was a Wilma type storm. We've seen it. Charlie was a little bit quicker moving in the Caribbean. Same with Ian, Isaias. Isaias was more of a gyre, which the vorticity came out of the EPAC. So there's just a lot to watch. So let's just get into the modeling real quick, and let's have a look at what the GFS and Euro are showing. I'll go with the latest 06Z here. As you can see, you've got a vort there, and it develops a vort, and you can see it clearly moving toward the west, and it gets near the Leeward Islands and the Windward Islands over there, and it's kind of getting affected by the vorticity that is for some reason coming off the islands. I don't know where that, I guess that's within the ITS. So it's still kind of, in my opinion, it's still kind of stuck in the ITS. It's not really got out of the ITS here. You can see the vorticity's trying, but it keeps getting dragged back into the ITS, right? So it's, in my opinion, it's still in the ITS. So we're getting close to the Caribbean now. So we'll go to the Western Atlantic here. We're pretty much in the Western Caribbean, Central Caribbean. So we'll go forward, and as you can see, you've got a low or a stretch vorticity up here, just off of the southeast U.S. And this is gonna try and spin up, and as it tries to spin up, it tends to like affect the upper level winds a little more, and so anything that tries to deepen may try to go with these vorticities. You can see there's some vorticity off here in the, sorry about that. I'm going to pick up my parents today at the airport, and so I got to leave here shortly. So I'm trying to get a video in real quick before I leave. But you can see these vorticities here, just a bunch of vorticity. It's just a lot of spin in the atmosphere right now. You can see the low currently off of Texas right now. That's one we're watching. You can see the GFS just kind of spins it. Obviously, that's don't look at that. This is right now. It's currently sitting right there between Louisiana and Texas, and it just meanders. It just continues to rotate, and there's fighting lows. You can almost see, it looks like, so you got the vorticity that comes off the Caribbean here, the islands of Haiti and Cuba, and it lifts north into Florida. And so these two are going to kind of fight. And so what I think may happen is you may see these two conjoin. You may see this conjoin, and so what happens is that may help reinforce a cold front to come through, dive in, dive in into Oklahoma, into Louisiana, and just pull all of that out. You know, there could be a low that develops over here in Central America, and it just kind of pulls all of that out into the Northeast. And if that happens, you know, we very well could see a system get pulled out of the Caribbean. But right now, you don't see that. You see the GFS kind of keeping that low we're watching, and the BOC, Northwestern Gulf, kind of get forced to the west at the lower level. So you got a strong ridge at the low and mid levels, kind of pushing it west, but then you got the front stretching it at the upper level. So any convection that develops gets pulled to the northeast. The low level spin goes to the west, and it's a push-pull effect. And so you'll see that happen. The low or the vorticity that worked off of Cuba and the Caribbean islands is now getting caught up into the trough. And you can see it was stretched, and now it starts to try to spin it up. And it's just kind of that pulsating effect. You know, I say the push-pull, it's like El Nino and La Nina are fighting in the atmosphere. The atmosphere doesn't know what it wants to do, doesn't know who it is right now, in a sense. And, you know, I just made a post about, you know, having 2 feet in one boat, or 2 separate feet in one boat. I'm saying that wrong. Forgive me. You have 1 foot in another boat and a foot in another boat, and you're trying to go in the same direction, but your feet start to split. There's like a fork. And so I think that's just why we see stretch. So this system very well could stretch and not even develop. So you can see here on the GFS, it develops, gets into the Western Gulf, and eventually into Texas. That kind of does make sense because there is a front lingering right now. And so you kind of have that idea that cold front there. So it could very well go into there. It just depends on what happens off of Southeast Florida and off of the BOC, off of Northwest Texas. So we'll go to the Euro real quick. We'll look at that. This is the overnight. This is a 0.60. So this is the latest Euro. So let's see what the Euro is compared to 0.60 at this time to 12Z. You can see a vorticity kind of in Haiti, in that area, in the Dominican Republic. And so it's just, it's getting stretched, right? It's getting stretched. That's why there's really no main energy we can really focus on. We're trying to wait for a low to develop. And I really wanted to look at the true color imagery, but currently can't do that right now because GOES is down. So that's the 0.60. We'll go to the 0.00Z overnight. Kind of a similar look, a little bit weaker in the 0.60 if you're asking me. And then we just move forward. You can see that interacting. You see the BOC at the Texas low. It looks like the vorticity that comes off of Cuba ends up getting into the panhandle, and that spin that's sitting off of Texas gets forced into Texas and to the northwest. So I think that overall flow continues in the model. And so eventually it looks like, you know, see, that's why it's so tricky. And guys, I don't know everything. You know, I learn as I go. And when I'm discussing this, I'm processing it with you guys. So it's trial and error for me. You know, I don't know everything. I don't know it all. I don't want to come across as a know-it-all. I'm trying to educate you guys as I educate myself. So you can see there's a low that's just kind of starts working. It's that same low that works in the BOC. So timing's everything. How strong that is, how quick that front moves in, how strong the system is as it develops. As to the west of Jamaica, does it quickly intensify? Does it take slower to develop? Is there shear outflow? There's so many things that are going to be in play here that we're really going to have to watch real time. But as you can see, that front does wrap around, and eventually it gets caught in it, and there's nowhere to go but for it to go north. So, you know, there's so excuse me, there's so much still in play here. We could go off to the northeast. So let me show you the vorticity real quick. I got an image I made. It's a GIF, and so you can see there's just two different vorticities. Here's our main piece of energy right down in here, right? You can see it right there, and you got the vorticity here. My arrow's a little too far east, I think, but overall, there's two different vorticities the models are competing with. Right now, the strongest vorticity is what the models are going to be attracted to. I feel like when it has such a light vorticity, sometimes the models have a hard time picking up on that. Depending on how these two may very well conjoin. You know, this vorticity could continue to work up to the northwest, and conjoin to that. And then a front and a low comes down, and they all work together, and they meet in the middle. And then it's a really strong front that comes up and pulls something out of the Caribbean, and it very well could surprise some people in Southwest Florida. That's why you can't take your guard off of the system right now. Everything that the models are showing, don't get lost in that. We very well could see something different, and that's why the models are showing that. So we'll go back to, what was it, last night? No, but it just shows you all the different. It shows you all the different ideas. You see the front's a little. It's more tilted. So you see that vorticity. It's gonna follow that. It's gonna follow that right there. You see how that is. It's gonna attach itself, and then it's gonna work with the front and pull out towards the north, and then eventually the northeast. We'll look at the 12Z. So different ideas. Let's go back to 12Z, August 29th. So you can see, like, even this, I mean, this is very possible. All these scenarios are still very possible. So don't get caught up in just one idea, one run. I know people tend to want to be biased, and look, I at this point, I don't want a system to hit anybody. But when there's features like this in play, and when there's possibilities like this, I'm not going to ignore it. I'm going to bring awareness and attention to it. And it's up to you to make the decision on what you want to do. If you make a decision to prepare and you spend the money and then something doesn't come, then, oh well, trial and error. You learn. But the good news is you have things that you need, like fuel or water or, food that you can. It's always resourceful. It's not like it's wasted money. So, being mad at a forecaster because they're trying to prepare you for a system, and then the system doesn't come, it really doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. But, we live in a world where people are angry at the police officers when they try to help you and protect you. So it's just an interesting time we're in. So anyways, that's my video for today. I don't really have much more to share. I don't really want to show you the weenie GFS runs and, what that's possibly showing. We got our satellite here, and again, you can see our time here. Now we're caught up. Okay, so now we're caught up, and this wasn't caught up before I started this video. I was looking at this, and we weren't caught up. But you can see it looks like maybe there's something trying to develop here. Let's go to the Central Atlantic and look at true color real quick and see what we're working with. Yeah, I think it's definitely trying to spin. This is where the vorticity is at right here. At the cross between 50 and I think that's 10. Yeah, correct. 10 degrees. Eventually this could lift up. We're going to watch this area today. You see spin kind of wane. Dry air knocks any of the mid-level spin out, and it gets kind of pushed back into the ITS. We really got to see convection deepen and sustain as it lifts out. If not, we'll see that process happen over and over again where the dry air will suffocate the convection. The spin ends up getting shoved southwest again back into the ITS, and until we get further into the Caribbean. So let's look at the Caribbean. I mean, to me, conditions seem favorable. It's just a matter of the ITS and getting caught up in that, and if it's able to create a solid vorticity with deep convection and not have that process occur. So anyways, I hope everybody enjoys their weekend. I just wanted to do a video before I got caught up in college football. I haven't really posted much since I think Thursday, just because it's going to be like this. The models are going to be jumping all over the place. There's not going to be many answers until we probably get towards the end of next week, as we're watching something develop into the Central Caribbean and Western Caribbean. So anyways, God bless, guys. Have a great weekend.